is definitely is to leave this piece open, so as he continues to get his full leg done, it's not just a piece by piece sticker style like I was talking about earlier. So I'll take his hair and I'll just kind of flow it out, and whatever he decides to do later on the rest of his leg, he can just tie it in right there to that piece, and it won't just be flat. It'll all have a nice little flow going through it. Still using a lot of the side of the mag, getting those strands. Still haven't used one line on the hair. Only thing we've used a line on so far is the eyes, and I think that's why they're standing out so much right now in the video. I've noticed a lot of times when I'm tattooing that I'll get some of that spray, like that's what's going on right now, and the only thing that I've found is that it's usually from some A&D or some ointment getting stuck inside the tube, and the ink's not just sitting on the needle as it should be. So what I'll usually do, I'll just grab a paper towel and I'll just wipe down the needle and the sides of the tube, and if that doesn't work, then I'll just stop and pull the tube off a little bit, or hit it in the rinse cup and get it. And usually that'll take care of all the problems with the spray coming off the tube. So I've already put down, some mid-tones and some darks for the hair, and now I'm just coming through with the black and just starting to build some depth. Being careful not to wipe too much of my stencil away. I'm already losing most of it, but doing what I can to stay out of the way of that, and just finish the top piece so I can move on to the next piece. Giving it some depth and some darks inside the strand right there, making it stand out a little bit more. Same with this one. Again, this is my own artistic interpretation of how this hair should flow on this side, and I think that it'll look a lot better than it would if I just followed the reference to a T and left it as is. Alright, so I'm jumping up top now, just trying to finish the hair up. I got the 9 mag on a light wash, and I'm just turning it using the sides and the corners. There's a lot of glare. I'm going to be doing a lot of white in this part of the hair probably, so I'm just gonna come through and kind of just shape so that your eye kind of follows where the shape of the hair would be, but without outlining it and creating a hard, dull image. Plus, I think outlining it would bring your eyes to it more. It'd be a lot more focused and a lot more sharp, and I definitely don't want your eyes to be drawn towards the hair when you first look at this piece. The hair is gonna be nice and it's gonna look good, but it's really insignificant compared to the other things like the eyes and the little skull. So I'm actually gonna start on the skull right now. I think I'm gonna start with a 5 liner and start hitting all the dark areas. I want it to be really focused, and so I'm going to show you the other way I could do a realistic piece with doing lines first and then building our grays off from here. So let's grab this 5, and I'll start hitting all my darks and all the little lines that I think that are kind of necessary for it, being that it is small, and I definitely don't want to lose any of the detail that we have here. And then we'll start coming off and building our grays and our blacks from the dark blacks that we do here. I'm coming through with the 5 right now, and I'm just kind of hitting the dark areas that I know are going to be solid black. I'll come through later with the 9 and just tighten everything up, but just so I don't lose my stencil, and because this is the eyeball that has the most lighting, it will probably be another focal point for the tattoo. I just went ahead and hit all the areas real quick with the liner. Notice how my lines aren't traditional line work either. I'm not just running through and dragging the needle across. I'm in the skin real quick. I'm just kind of giving myself a little bit of guideline or where I can go off. And like down here on the lips, I'm gonna run a nice traditional line just to because I need to have that depth between the lips. But here we go. I see that. No, that's a traditional line right there. I slowed it down. It's gonna be nice and true all the way through. But the other ones, I'm just kind of just in there real quick. Just give myself a little bit of guideline and where my blacks are coming off of, because half this face is gonna be really really. There's gonna be a really deep shadow coming off from where the light source is, the cast shadow from behind it. So that's what we got so far. We definitely have the face done, and we're gonna start on this little creature that we have, and we'll start pushing some soft grays where the light is hidden, and then from there we'll just start pushing some blacks and start building it up. I'm using the 9, based that the piece is that small, and I don't want to, we got some detail coming in here, so. This is straight black with a 9 style. This is like I said, it's a really high contrast piece. It's a high shadowed piece, so so half the image is pretty much black that fades into nothing. So I'm just starting from there with some really really dark blacks for this side, and then the other side we'll just be building it up with some really really soft grays. Still using a lot of the side of the mag, to get in those tight areas and keep things kind of sharp. I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy wide open pieces. I think tattoos are a lot easier when you're doing wide open areas, but unfortunately, we don't have the choice to talk people into back pieces and huge thigh pieces every day. So, I like to set up, 3 or 4 different machines and have the option to get in here with a 9, which is almost the same, as getting in that face up there with a 25, because it's 3 or 4 times smaller. So getting some pretty good depth right here already, just based on the little bit of shadowing that we put in. I'm just going to keep building that up until I feel like we have the right contrast. Then I'll jump on the other side and start doing some really soft grays and get a light source coming from the right, which is where it's coming from. I'm just freehanding a little bit of like a broken skull look under the face, since that's where the edge of the tattoo is. Now I'm getting back in there with a medium dark wash and starting to build my shadows from where the light's not hitting. Again, the process of this it's really not the most prettiest thing in the world, and I definitely agree that if when you do start tattooing and you do a solid outline all the way around tattoo, it looks a lot better while you're working on it. But ultimately, you just have to again trust your instincts and trust that you're following your reference, and at the end you will have a beautiful tattoo if you're going with realism. I'm gonna get over here now and spend a little time just try to get some depth for that cheekbone separated from the eye. Building a little more shadow on the other side. Now I'm going over those areas again that need some black. Really gonna push that depth in there. Go back over the blacks that I did with the 5 for the eyes real quick. Make sure that they're all true all the way through. Now we'll start pushing some depth into the lips. All the blacks first. You know, a big thing for me for tattooing is keeping motivation. And not just while you're tattooing, but just in general as far as being a tattoo artist. You know, I know a lot of people that say they're tattoo artists, and you know they go into work and they complain about having to do some stars or some butterflies, or you know, just some little bunch of little tattoos when they want to do some cool stuff. And you know, eventually you get to the point where you don't have to do those, and other artists come in that aren't on your level, and you know you're able to do what you want. Your portfolio, I think your portfolio has a lot to do with what you portray to your clients and your customers. So you know, if I wanted to do evil, crazy, creepy stuff like I do, or realistic, you know, dark images, the first thing when they open my portfolio is going to be that image exactly of what I want to do. And then the next piece is going to be the same, you know, same style as far as topic. But, you know, being motivational really has a lot to do with your success. I believe that, you know, if you go to work and you actually believe that, you know, you're going to do some really cool stuff, and you stay motivated, and you know you're at home drawing on the days when you're not tattooing, and you're thinking about your next tattoo, you know, I think it really plays a lot into, you know, how good you do in this industry. If you're just sitting here trying to make a buck, you're going to make a buck, and you're going to go home, and you know it is what it is. You're going to make a couple of dollars. But if this is your passion, and you sit here and you really want, you know, to do cool tattoos, and to further your art, then I really feel like nothing's going to stop you. So right here, I'm just coming through, and I'm like I said, I'm just working on the depth of the contrast. You can start seeing it. You know, I'm pushing off. You definitely see a deeper cast shadow now on the piece. You can see where the light's hitting the face and where it's not. You know, once I come through with the white at the end, it'll definitely be a lot more, you know, readable. Coming through with some straight black right now, just to get some darker shadows in the piece. I kind of put down a base layer of grays, and now I'm just going to start working some more darks and smooth them out a little bit more. Still doing the whole piece with the 9 mag. Again, I'm just doing the same thing that I've been talking about this whole time. I'm putting down my base layer. This one's a little darker than the face. I needed a lot of grays in here, but still wasn't my darkest tone of the piece. And now I'm coming through and hitting those dark blacks and building them up. And that's how I'm getting that deep shadow on the whole left side of his face. Another thing I wanted to bring up was, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I was tattooed on this guy, and his skin stopped taking the ink so well." Well, I've been tattooing for 11 years, and I've never come across somebody that doesn't take ink well at the end. What usually happens, and what a lot of people don't notice, is as you're tattooing, the needle's sucking in the ink when you dip it into the cap. But as you're tattooing, it's also sucking up some of that plasma and that clear fluid that comes out of the skin. And especially like when you're doing solid fill black, like tribal, or just really really dark areas, uh, when you dip back into that cap, you're actually mudding up your ink, and it's thinning it out with the plasma. So a lot of times when you're tattooing and you feel like the ink's not going in so consistently, you should just pull out another cap of ink and try dipping it into there. Rinse your needle off really good and dry it and try it. And I'm pretty sure that you're gonna see a lot more consistent black going in, or whatever tone it is, just based on the fact that the ink is pure again and it's not mudded up with plasma and blood. So now I'm starting to introduce a little bit of grays on the warm side where the light's hitting. Just kind of give it a nice blend. I'm coming through with the 25 actually, and I'm just going to give it a nice soft gray on the areas where you'll still see a little bit of depth, even though it's getting such a great light source coming from the right. We're definitely getting some depth on this piece. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. Got a lot of darks and blacks on the left side with a lot of like really light grays. You can definitely feel like a warm and cool side. All right, so we got the line that separates the face from the hand. And this face is looking pretty good. I'll probably go in there a little bit and touch things up at the end, but I don't know. It looks pretty good right now. We're gonna start working on the ear. Our stencil's gone, but uh, able to freehand it pretty easily. You could always pull out your pen and draw it on if you don't feel comfortable doing that. I'm just hitting the dark areas first, and then I'm going to start working on all the areas around it, building up the grays and stuff. Pulling the 9 back out. And then I'm going to start brushing in some medium tones. Kind of tie that ear in to the head so it's not just floating. But this is how you tattoo. You go piece by piece and then you tie them back in. When you're doing big pieces like this, you can't just expect to, for everything to be done at once. You just have to look at it and say, okay, I'm doing this part, but I'm gonna leave it open, and I'm gonna do this part, I'm gonna leave it open, and I'm gonna tie it in the middle on it. And if you do it and you follow your reference, you're gonna have an amazing tattoo when you're done. Giving a little bit of a stone or a skull shadow right here, just enough to emphasize the, kind of a cheekbone area right there. See, I came through with a lighter tone, and I'm just going right under it with the darker. That way it's not too bold. All right, so this face is looking really good, but we do have a problem, and our problem is that our hand is almost completely gone, our reference, our stencil. So we're going to go ahead and attempt the impossible, which is to reapply the stencil perfectly. And I'll probably say this is going to be the hardest part of the whole tattoo, but I'm kind of glad that it's happening because, you know, this is everyday life. This is what happens when you're doing, you know, a 7-hour session on somebody, and, you know, you're doing the best you can. You know, the name of the game is to get the tattoo done before your stencil's gone, but it doesn't always happen like that. And as you can see, this stencil right here is way off the line, so that's not going to work. I'm going to wipe it down. We're going to try that again. You know, I probably have maybe 2 more uses left of the stencil, and then after that we will be re-stenciling it again. So I'm hoping that we can get it right this time. So that's pretty close. I think it's maybe a half a centimeter off, but it's just a line from the top of the hand, so I can make the proper adjustments and make it work out. I'm getting back in with the 9 meg right now with some solid black, and I'm starting to push all the deep shadows within the knuckles and the fingers. And then from there, I'll switch over and start building up my grays like we always do. So again, I'm just magging in on the corner of the 9. Turning it sideways using those 2 needles on the side and just running a little bit of line work without making it too bold and strong. I don't go for that when I'm going for realistic. I go for soft and subtle, and then I get back in there and hit the areas that need to be touched with the liner. And I really hope that you guys are excited about this tattoo as I am. I think it's coming out amazing. You know, when I go into a tattoo, I never go in with a cocky, arrogant attitude. You know, even after 11 years, I still go in hoping, man, I hope I don't screw this up. And that could possibly be why I haven't done that in a long time. Or maybe I'm just getting lucky. I don't know. But I know that from the people that I have seen that have gotten arrogant, you know, and have not practiced humility, that, you know, their careers really have gone to crap, and their work has gone to crap. You know, I'm sure everybody knows, you know, you can't be great at what you do and think that you're great at what you do. You need to be humble, and you need to know that, you know, there's always somebody better than you, no matter what you are, or no matter how good you are. So that's what I practice. And starting to build some depth in the fingers now. Still using the 9 because the area is so tight. Putting some fingernails on there with the 9. You definitely start seeing some shape coming to life with the fingers, just from those quick blacks and grays right there. Haven't gone through with the light tones yet. Again, notice that I'm going from right to left. I put a little bit of shading down where the lines of the veins behind the knuckles will be, but that's just so I don't lose my stencil, because, you know, it was only on for 3 minutes. The other ones were on for, you know, hours until I got to the areas. So, but, you know, I'm trying to get the piece to about 85-90% of you know, being finished before I even start going on the other side.